Hi friends! Are you ready for a story? We will read The Doorbell Rang by Pat Hutchings. In this book, Ma, the main character, bakes 12 cookies for her children, a dozen. But before they had the chance to taste them, something happens. Let's find out together. The doorbell rang. "I've made some cookies for tea," said Ma. "Good," said Victoria and Sam. "We're starving." "Share them between yourselves," said Ma. "I made plenty." "That's 6 each," said Sam and Victoria. "They look as good as Grandma's," said Victoria. "They smell as good as Grandma's," said Sam. "No one makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang. It was Tom and Hannah from next door. "Come in," said Ma. "You can share the cookies." "That's 3 each," said Sam and Victoria. "They smell as good as your Grandma's," said Tom. "And look as good," said Hannah. "No one makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang. It was Peter and his little brother. "Come in," said Ma. "You can share the cookies." So now they are 6 children. "That's 2 each," said Victoria and Sam. "They look as good as Grandma's," said Peter, "and smell as good." "No one makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang. It was Joy and Simon with their 4 cousins. "Come in," said Ma. "You can share the cookies." Now they are 12. "That's 1 each," said Sam and Victoria. "They smell as good as your Grandma's," said Joy, "and look as good," said Simon. "No one makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang. And rang. "Oh dear," said Ma, as the children stared at the cookies on their plates. "Perhaps you'd better eat them before we open the door." "We'll wait," said Sam. It was Grandma with an enormous tray of cookies. "How nice to have so many friends to share them with," said Grandma. "It's a good thing I made a lot." "And no one makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang. This book, my friends, shows how we can divide 12 cookies evenly among different groups of people. At first, there were 2 children, and they each got 6 cookies. Then there were 4 children, and each got 3 cookies. Then there were 6 children, and each got 2. Finally, when there were 12 children and 12 cookies, each person got 1 cookie. What if more people came in before Grandma shows up with more cookies? How can we divide 12 cookies among, let's say, 24 people and still have each person eat an equal amount? Think of this question and watch this math episode of Madrasati. I have here 1 whole apple. Did you ever share 1 apple with someone? You cut it into pieces and each one takes a fraction, meaning a part of it. Let's cut this apple in half. Now, there are 2 equal parts, and if you eat 1 out of 2 parts, then you would be eating half. That's how we write half using numbers. 1 piece out of 2. There is a line and a number on top showing the pieces I ate, 1 piece, and the number at the bottom showing the total number of parts, 2 pieces in total. Let's cut each of these halves also in half. Now we have 4 equal parts. And if you eat 1 piece out of the 4, then you would be eating a quarter. The number below the line is 4 because the total number of equal parts is 4. To eat a quarter of the apple, you must eat 1 part out of these 4. Now let's say you want to eat more. If you eat 3 parts out of the 4, what fraction would you be eating? The number under the line remains the same since they are still 4 equal parts. If 1 out of 4 is a quarter, then 3 out of 4 make 3 quarters. Imagine now cutting another apple into 3 pieces. This is 1 piece, 2, 3. I have here 3 equal parts. If you eat 1 out of the 3 equal parts, you will be eating 1/3 of the apple. If you eat 2 out of the 3 pieces, that would be 2/3. What does this fraction mean, 3 out of 3? If I ate 3 pieces out of the 3, then I would be eating the whole apple. I'm eating 3 pieces, but this is all there is anyway. If there is the same number above and below the line of a fraction, this fraction represents a whole. 1 whole apple in this case. 4/4 also means 1 whole apple. It means I've cut the apple into 4 parts, yet I still ate them all. Today, we looked at different ways to divide 1 whole item. We can have a quarter, 1/3, half, 3/4. All these are less than 1 whole, a fraction of an apple. We can also replace number 1 on this timeline by 3/3 or 4/4. Let's get back to the question I asked you earlier in this episode. How can 24 people share 12 cookies? Well, there are more children than cookies here. This means each person would get less than 1 whole cookie. Each 2 persons can share 1 cookie. To be precise, each person would get half a cookie. The cookies will be cut in half, and each person would eat 1 piece out of the 2. I have a final challenge for you. How can we divide 3 crepes evenly among 4 plates? You might be familiar with the French pronunciation of this word, crêpe. The number of people here is greater than the number of crepes. This means each person would eat less than 1. Let's begin by cutting them in half. Cutting the first one, I will place half on each plate. We are left with 1 crepe. Let's cut it into quarters. Half, and then another half. Now we have 4 quarters. I'll give each person a quarter. How much is that? How can you write it in a fraction form? There is half and a quarter on each plate. To write this fraction, I must have equal parts. So technically, I'm going to cut the pieces into equal parts. I have here now 3 equal parts, or 3 quarters. So when dividing 3 crepes among 4 people, each person takes 3 quarters, or 3/4. I will now get some chocolate spread to enjoy my crepes. See you next time. Bye.
لمشاهدة المزيد من الحلقات زوروا سات7 بلس.